Russell of Hotels going live just for a couple minutes. You guys know how I do it. Hey, I'm live with Miss none other than Miss Tiffany English. Tiffany, um, with Velvet Style Biz. I don't know if I keep getting that name wrong. Every time I say it, it seems like I'm getting it wrong. But anyway, hey, we're live on YouTube, live on LinkedIn. I do a daily check-in Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And today, Tiffany and I have been, having these side conversations, and I always ask her to come on live with me. And she did it once, maybe I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, but I wasn't sure it was going to be a normal thing. But then she kind of hinted last week that she wanted to do it again, right? And I'm like, okay, that's what I want, because it's all about putting yourself out there. You have a brand that you're trying to make work, however that is. And she happens to be a hotel, a meeting planner, event planner extraordinaire. And sometimes we don't always know what people do. So I always say this, there are three things you should always let people know: who you are, what you do, and how you can help them, right? So Tiffany and I have been talking. I said, you know what? I do this daily check-in Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. There's 4 days a week. You are more than welcome to come on as often as you want to come on. So if that's every day, that's fine. I invite and welcome Tiffany or anyone else to come on and talk about your story. If you have questions, or we can just talk. This can be just like a little chat box kind of thing, like, you know what I mean? So, but anyway, let me turn on the comments, see if anyone has any comments to make. You're more than welcome to make them. Like I said, we're live on LinkedIn, live on YouTube. Now, the only thing that I found out is, and I don't know why I'm just now I've been doing this for several years. I don't know why I just found this out, but LinkedIn, you're not able to make your comment. You can make comments, but I won't be able to see them. But if you're on YouTube, which everyone should be, follow me on YouTube and like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. Go to my YouTube channel, Russell of Hotels, like and subscribe, and then that way you can make your comments. First of all, you'll know when I'm going live, right? And then second, you can make comments in real time, and I will put them up on the screen. What about that? What do you think about that? So anyway, just welcome Miss Tiffany. How are you today, Tiffany?
I'm good. I am great. How are you?
Good. You know what? I'm doing all right. Like I said, I do this daily check-in, and you know this because you checked me out, and you've been on here before. So I do this daily check-in where I talk about, anything hospitality for the most part. And these don't last that long. So the daily check-in is like a 15, 20-minute thing. I do another show called On Air with Russell of Hotels that comes on every Tuesday. And that goes for an hour. Okay, so this is like a 15, 20-minute thing. We just kind of like quick hitting stuff, and then we get off, and then we go on with our day. Okay, so, but anyway, do you have anything to talk about, since we have you on here, Tiffany? Is there anything you like to talk about, discuss, whatever?
Well, put me on the spot. So,
I'm sorry. Can you say that a little louder, please?
did you hear me? Sorry. Well, just talking with hotels, and what's funny is I was looking at a few hotels, and immediately, you know, I thought of you because you are Russell of Hotels, right? Um, and I reached out to you offline about just kind of setting up things, and is it just me? But recently had a few hotels that changed their name, and for me, it instantly made me kind of squeamish about continuing the booking. And I was like, well, is it just me? Or so let me just reach out to a few other professionals that are in the business. So I just wanted to just chat about how hotel names may perceive, or when hotels change their names, does it perceive any type of negative branding or positive branding or anything like that? Because for me, it definitely gives a red flags when hotels do change their names. But I wanted to hear from others.
Yeah, you know what? That's an interesting question. because every now and then, we all come across that. I guess maybe in this business, and I used to be on the other side, as many people know that, and I've actually been in a hotel that underwent a name change, and it was a boutique hotel. And I'm just giving a little an example of this. It was a boutique hotel at LAX, okay, which anyone that knows LAX, Los Angeles International Airport area, boutique hotel would not really go well in that particular um, in that market, so to speak. So it was called a Regency Plaza Hotel. And how I know about this hotel, because I used to be the director of sales and marketing at that hotel. Well, but I'm laying the groundwork here. I was hired because it was going to be converted into a Courtyard Marriott, okay, which a Courtyard Marriott at the airport would be great, but a no name brand like a Regency Plaza, which is an independent hotel, no one knew. There was no name recognition at all. So I think it depends on why is that hotel undergoing a name change. It can be good, it can be bad, it can be new ownership, new management company. It can be all those different things as to why it changed. Well, this one, it was changing because one, it was bought by a new a new management company, ownership group and management company. And then two, no one knew what the heck Regency Plaza was. That didn't mean anything. It wasn't part of a major brand or anything like that. So if anything, it wasn't doing well because of the name, because no one knew what it was. And I'll give you just this another case in point. So when I took it over, but I took it over, I was hired because it was going to be a Courtyard Marriott, and I had Courtyard Marriott experience. That's why I was hired as the. In fact, that was my first director of sales position, and they wanted someone who had that Courtyard experience to kind of help it evolve into a Courtyard from an independent hotel. So that hotel was running 35% when I came in as a director of sales and marketing. When we went to a Marriott and turned that key over, like midnight is when it became a Courtyard Marriott. It went from Regency Plaza to at midnight it turned into a Courtyard. We instantly went up to 85%,
Oh
and
wow.
yeah, finished the year at 93.5%, which was the largest jump for any conversion. And I think we had the largest occupancy, that year too, year to year over year or whatever, something like that. So yeah, so names matter. And what's the reason? Because there's a lot of hotels out there that have negative, a lot of people have had negative experience with those names or with that particular
Yeah.
hotel. And sometimes new ownership knows that, or new management company knows that, and they'll try to change it, or they'll make a move to change it, maybe to a branded property from an independent or whatever. So I would say it just depends on what the situation is. But yeah, that does happen.
You make a good point about brand recognition because if the name changes, that brand is, I guess, perceived as a higher level. That's great. This particular hotel, and this is what made me reach out to you. It went from a brand recognition to a no name hotel, a no name, no name brand, I would say. So I
Okay.
instantly, and I tried to look it up. I didn't see, I think it went independent, and I didn't really see um, any type of promotion or branding for me to even consider going there or sending my clients there. And it's interesting. I mean, and I'll just say it went from a Marriott property to a non-Marriott property. So now we're losing our Bonvoy point, and I'm instantly like, what's going on? Why would they do this? So I think there's certain situations where absolutely, if you're upgrading or you're up leveling the name, absolutely. But when you're changing the name to something that your guests don't recognize, and then as me as a planner, I can't convince my clients to book there now because they're like, Who is this, what is this?" And we don't get our points that we're accustomed to. So I guess
Yeah.
that was why I was a little bit like, a little hesitant about what's going on with, why would these hotels change their name to downgrade that brand perception?
Yeah, that's a situation like that. And just real quick, we just got a comment from All About the Experiences. That's Miss Cheryl Rogers. Let me put her comment up here again. It says, "Great question." So thank you so much, Miss Cheryl Rogers, with All About the Experiences. In fact, that's what it's all about. It's all about making comments. So if you want to be interactive, you want to get involved in this conversation, please do so. But thank you so much, Cheryl. I appreciate that. But getting back to what you were saying, it's hard to understand if you've gone from a Marriott to a nothing, a no name, and a lot of times some people that manage or own hotels, Marriott is expensive. It's expensive to be a Marriott hotel. Okay, let me just put that out there first and foremost. It is expensive because you got to remember. I mean, they're getting the points, they're getting all the things, all the bells and whistles that come with any Marriott. So if you put a Marriott flag on your building, it's more expensive than any other brand that's out there for the most part. But to go from a Marriott to nothing, that speaks volumes. Okay, that speaks volumes to, like I said, either they couldn't afford it anymore, or there was, because Marriott will put you on a action plan. Like, say if you weren't able to sustain the brand, meaning because every hotel is graded by the guest, by the employees, and by the guests, right? You get these surveys or whatever, and every time somebody checks out, you get a guest comment survey, right? So you get put into several buckets when you're a Marriott property, and I'm sure all the major brands as well. But Marriott specifically, because they take that stuff serious. Okay, so if you're not, if guests don't perceive your service as being good or stellar, in the top whatever, I don't know, if you're in the 60% range of guest satisfaction, meaning that's a D or F. That's a D or an F. Okay, so if you were in school and you got in the 60% range, you would be flunking, right? You would be failing. It's the same thing. And I'm just going to use Marriott as an example because I started with that, and you said it was a Marriott hotel. That if they are not able to sustain a passing grade, meaning a C or better, they get put on a property improvement plan. Let's just put it like that. And if they're unable to fix that situation, rectify that situation, they will no longer be a Marriott hotel. Okay. So,
Oh, that's
oh
interesting
yeah,
to
no,
know.
there's certain guidelines and certain things that you have to do. Like if there's renovation that you have to do, they'll give you whatever that property improvement plan is. They'll tell you, hey, by this day you got to have new duvet covers or new hard goods, or you got to do renovation. You got to do all these things. And if you're not able to do that, or you can't do it, or you're not going to do it, they won't allow you to be a Marriott anymore. I mean, it's just, there's no other way to put it other than they will snatch your flag from you. And it seems
Wow.
like, and I'm not saying that was a situation on that one, but it's happened before. I've been in properties where we were about to get our flag taken, and unless we took drastic action, and we actually got off of that list, and we were able to remain a Marriott. But yeah, they will. Oh no, Marriott is one of the companies that they don't take any, when it comes to that stuff. They don't take any crap because they value the guests. They value the guests, their opinion. Those surveys are important, and they look at everything. Okay, they look at every single thing. So it could have been a situation like that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, that's good background because I didn't have any of that. Well, what's interesting as a planner, so say that I was in the middle of a contract and I had a group, and then there was, not only a name change but a business ownership change. Do I have any recourse? Can I can I send? Can I? I mean, and just in your example, what if it was a Marriott and then it went somewhere else, but I'm in the contract, I have a group, they have their Marriott Bonvoy points, they're all excited, and then all of a sudden, it changes over, ownership changes. Do I have any? And we're already in contract, so can I say? We want to change. We changed our minds. Ownership changed. We should be able to change.
So, has the contract been signed?
Yes.
Contract is signed.
Okay.
You're saying the contract has been signed?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
You know what, Russ? Honestly, I don't have this example, but I guess I'm curious. Um,
No, that's a good
you
question
bring up a
though.
point where, well, I'm just saying, would that even happen? Would they take over in the middle of having all of these contracts, or will they? Okay, because I didn't
These
know that.
things happen where if it's a situation where, say, your salesperson is still there, and the contract has already been signed. Sometimes, and it depends on whoever owns it now and the management company. If it's the same management company, yeah, more than likely they will honor whatever has been signed. But if it's not, they're not under any obligation to do that because it's different ownership group, different people, different everything. But that's why that's the difference between a good salesperson and a bad one. Where if they see something's coming, they need to tell their clients. They need to communicate that to their clients. Hey, this is what's going on. I want to keep you in the loop. I may not be here anymore, but I'm telling you, this is what's happening. You may want to look for another. You may want to look for another hotel because I've been in those situations before where the hotel changed, ownership changed, and basically I was going to be changed, right? Meaning I just had my job for maybe the first 30 days and I was going to lose it because a lot of these hotels, when they make changes, the people they change for the most part, the general manager, the director of sales and marketing, and they change the controller, the one that handles the money, right? So those are three positions that normally go when ownership or management change happens.
Mhm.
And I was able to at least call some of my clients and let them know what was going on, and they were able to get out of they were able to get out of the contract because the contracts weren't going to be enforced because now you have a different hotel and all this kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
they're able to find another place, or they went somewhere else and found another hotel. But it's all about communication. It's all about that relationship that we hope that we have when situations come up. But
Mm.
yeah, normally just to answer that question again, normally when that happens, no, it can end pretty ugly. That can be a ugly situation. I'm just telling you because I've heard those situations happen before where they didn't know until it was within 30 days of them coming to having a group meeting at that particular hotel. They didn't find out till later, and then it was a whole mess.
Wow.
So
Wow.
yeah, but for hotels, if you are undergoing a name change, it's important that you, of course, get the word out, put as much information as you can out about, okay, this is what's going on. We're undergoing a name change, whatever. However they want to spin it, they spin it. But what people want to know is that this name change is happening, and how does it affect me? I have future
Right.
reservations. How does this affect me? I have a group
Right.
coming in. Will that affect me? Is it going to be the same? And sometimes they'll say, oh no, everything's the same because a lot of these management companies or ownership groups, they're buying everything that's coming with it. If that's groups, they're buying all that stuff too. They're paying. That's why they're buying all this because they're getting all this. But it's just like a good salesperson will tell them if something's happening, something
Hmm.
bad is happening. A good salesperson will also tell them if something good is happening. Okay, we're undergoing a name change. Um, it's still going to be within the Marriott family, but it's just going to be a different brand or whatever. Or maybe they're moving to a Hilton or whatever. And it's okay to ask those questions. Well, why are you making these changes? What's going on? Is there something I
Yeah.
need to be worried about? Because sometimes we just let it go and just keep it going. But no, ask the questions. It's okay to ask the questions. They say, oh, it was cheaper to be a Hilton than it is a Marriott, or the ownership group is partial to Hilton. They already have 10 other Hiltons, and they want to they only want to do business with Hilton, and that's fine too. That's fine, but it's okay to ask those questions.
Yeah, you've given me a little bit of a deep dive. I had no idea that it was so involved, especially when you talk about different management companies and ownerships. And all I was thinking is, the perception, the attendees. That's all. Like how does, like you said, how does it affect me? How does it affect my group? But
No, yeah, and but perception is everything, right? So if you went from they're expecting a four, diamond hotel experience, and then all of a sudden they change it, and now it's a three diamond. Is that going to affect your client? Is that going to affect the attendees or whatever? I mean, it's the same hotel, but it's a different. Now they've changed names, and the service maybe has gone down instead of staying the same or gone up. That's happened too. I mean, I can name 20 hotels here in LA that were used to be a higher brand and now they're a lower brand. You know what I mean? But
really,
still within the same families of the same Marriott umbrella, but they just come down in the brand. So maybe they gone from a Marriott to a. I've seen Marriott go to a Courtyards.
yeah,
Yeah, or a Marriott going to a Sheraton because now Sheraton is all part of Marriott, right? Because of they used to be Starwood, but then Marriott bought all the Starwood properties. So some people perceive a full service Marriott higher than a Sheraton. I mean, some people just perceive that. So, or maybe you're a JW and now it went from a JW to a Marriott. Well, that's still a different. That's
it's
still
different.
it's a drop down in service levels and expectations. So yeah, so a lot of these things happen. It's just like I said, ask the questions like what happened, what's going on. It can be like I said, management. And when I say management, a lot of people think that whatever sign is on that building, that's who owns the hotel. 9 out of 10 times, that's who manages it. I mean, the name on the hotel is not managed by the same name. You understand what I'm saying? A lot of hotels are not owned or managed by the name that's on the building. So say if it's a
Yeah.
Marriott property, that doesn't mean Marriott owns and operates it. That just means it's a franchise. It could be a franchise. Marriott's name is on there, but that doesn't mean they own and operate it. Because there's a lot of Aimbridge is a big management company that manages a lot of Marriott properties, right? So their employees are Aimbridge employees. The hotel is owned by a separate group, but it's managed by Aimbridge Hospitality. So people just think, oh, I'm gonna call it Marriott. Well, you can call it Marriott all you want, but they're basically gonna transfer you to or give you information about Aimbridge because Aimbridge is the one that manages that hotel. And I'm just using those as an example for people to understand that just because it says Marriott, Hilton, Hyatt, or whoever on the building does not mean that the name on the building actually owns and manages it. There's a lot of franchise properties out there. And that can go with different levels of service too, depending on who owns it, depending on who manages it. It just depends. It depends on how entrenched they are in guest service. Because we know Marriott is up there when it comes to guest service. Marriott is one of, well, to me, it's the number one, right? But some of the other management companies that take over, they don't do the same things that a Marriott would do. They don't have the trainings that a Marriott would have. It's just, and I can say that because I came in with Marriott and I worked for damn near every other brand out there, out of the 14 hotels I've been in. And I know the ones that will train you. I know the ones that are real strict about when it comes to training and SOPs and things like that. So yeah. So hopefully I answered your questions.
No, I agree. And I've seen more of these hotel groups and management companies come up more than they used to. And just on my end with handling contracts, you have someone that's, so and so at website.com that represents the contract but doesn't know the Marriott property. So there are different levels of even handling contracts. And sometimes when I, ask for things, you ask for concessions, um, you a lot of times you easier when it's in-house Marriott. Well, I'm not going to say a lot of times. Most time you're you're bound to get more when it's someone in-house working in the hotel day to day than it is with these management companies who have these sales representatives. So I've seen it firsthand on my end, which is contracts. The difference to start.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. A lot of things are different. Marriott, for the most part, they do a lot of the what they call it, and some properties. Let's see. Yeah, some properties have someone on property, meaning you can walk in there and there's someone that can show you around. And there's other
Yeah,
properties where your sales contact is they're working remote. You'll never
sure.
meet them. I mean, I've signed with many Marriott properties and I've never met the salesperson. The person is not there on property. Once the contract is signed, it goes to a convention services person. That person is on property. So that's who your
Yep,
contact will be with. But for the most part, a salesperson, I mean, I work with many remote people that I know their names, but I don't know. They can walk in, they can knock on my door right now, and I wouldn't know who the heck they were because
yeah,
that relationship is not. There's a phone or email relationship, but it's not an in person, a personal kind of relationship, if you will. So that's
sure.
one thing that I didn't like. And I know we're going somewhere else with this with Marriott when they took the salespeople off property. They took them
Yeah,
and they're now remote, right? So it's a little different kind of relationship now. I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm not saying that it's not effective, but I think there can be a disconnect sometimes when
agreed.
the salesperson is remote and you don't necessarily see them. They don't go to the conferences that we go to and stuff like that. You don't see them but you will see them if it's a franchise property or something like that. You will meet them because they don't have the same guidelines that a Marriott corporate would. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. For me, it's I don't need to see you, but I need you just to be 100% aware of your property. So if I ask you, how is it at 5 o'clock at night, or how is the traffic, or what's the parking situation? So those questions are just harder to answer when you're talking to someone who's remote, who maybe visits the property maybe once or twice a year. Because my
Good point.
questions are detailed. They're
Good point.
questions I can't get off the website. So I think
Yeah.
that's where it's hard, and you like you said, it's a disconnect sometimes because they're away from the property, and then things change all the time. So even if they visited a few months ago, things change. Is there construction next door? Is there something going up? There's so many things
Good
and
point.
questions that need to be asked, that you really need someone on site. And one other point I want to say, I know, me and you, we do a lot of networking. What's good, in addition to the sales people that we meet for hotels, is meeting with the CVBs of the cities that are actually in those cities.
Yeah.
The director of sales that can oversee if I have an issue with the sales manager. So I think for me, it's important to go to these conferences. So I'm shaking hands and knowing the right people to go above when I need
Yeah.
to, or
Yeah.
ask additional questions. So we're not just talking about one single Marriott. We're talking about, oh, let me talk to global sales of the Northeast region who
Yeah.
can, connect me. And then let me talk to, Visit Savannah, and then they're in the area. So I think those relationships between, at least with me and you as event professionals are needed. And it
Yeah.
gives us a leg up with our clients, you
Definitely.
know.
Oh yeah, I like that. That was good. You had some
What's
good points there. You had some good points there. Very good, very good. No, it's definitely important. The relationships are important.
hmm
Yeah, definitely. I don't think
Yeah.
you can't put a, I don't know, can't put a, what am I trying to say?
A
Well,
price tag?
I think I said it. The relationships are important, and it's good to see those people and ask those questions in real time. Because they are actually there, they can make comments based on what you're like. If you ask, what is it like at 5 o'clock at that hotel, or is there any construction going on around the hotel, or renovations, things like that. Yeah, you need to know. Someone needs to be at that property because I've had people. This is what I've had salespeople do for me. Have them walk because if it's a hotel that I haven't seen before, I would have them walk from from the elevator to a guest room. So from
Yep.
their office, from the lobby, go to the elevator, get on the elevator, go to the guest room, and walk. Show me how that look. What does that path look like? From there, and then to the meeting space from there.
Yes. Absolutely. And how
Yeah.
far? Like I time it. I don't know if you do that. I love my site visits because I'm 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 meticulous with it. I will time how long it takes me to get from my room to the meeting rooms
Yes.
and from the meeting rooms to the lobby. So yeah, those are important things to know.
Oh yeah, especially like if you're in Vegas, you're in Vegas and it's like a mile away, and I'm not exaggerating. It could literally be a mile away from your room to where the meeting space is.
I mean, I can't even include Vegas because that's its own thing. It's
It's a
just
whole
happening.
different.
It's so funny too that you say that because I'm thinking about what hotels have the shortest distance, or what hotels on the strips have the
Yeah.
shortest distance from rooms. It's going to be a walk. You're going to get your 10,000 steps in no matter what. So I don't even include Vegas in that, but yes, yes, any other hotel, I'm definitely doing my timing to see. And even when we're prospecting, I'm is the meeting space next to the lobby where, Jim and his family can come and see what we're doing, or is it away from everybody? So how far is it, but still away from the main traffic of the hotel? So that's a whole other thing too. I think we're getting more into, site visits and tours, but those still are important questions to ask
Oh
sales
yeah,
managers about, you know,
definitely.
and they should know it right off the bat.
Yes, yes, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. But hey, we're on with Miss Tiffany English. So we're just, she just had some questions. We just went over some questions. If you did not, if you were not on here early enough, that's okay. The replay will be there. Just go back to rewind this, or later when you have time, go back to LinkedIn as well as YouTube, and these questions will be here. It's not going anywhere. I'm not deleting this. So, and I think this is important information, especially if you do meeting planning or event planning, hotel site selection, or anything, or just want to know about how the industry works. There's always some good information here, and Tiffany's always going to, put my feet to the fire and ask me questions that, I don't even answer. I didn't even think about that, but no, those are definitely good questions. So I appreciate you asking me those questions. I appreciate you coming on with me on a daily check-in, because it makes the daily check-in easier for me if someone's here to ask me these questions, right? So there you go.
Oh,
Anything
so
else before we get off of this thing? Anything else?
I think that's it. I mean, this was a great conversation, and I appreciate the insight, the deeper insight of these hotels. I know we talked about Marriott quite a bit, but I feel like it's really interesting to think about. These name changes there's a lot more behind them. So that's what I got from this conversation. So I appreciate it.
Oh, you're more than welcome. And of course, I speak of Marriott because that's where my first experience comes from, and I've
Hmm.
probably worked in more Marriott hotels than anything else. So, and I'm very fond of Marriott. And you know, I don't make it a secret that I am very fond of Marriott. My trainings I received with them, the experience that I had with them, and yeah, to me, it's one of the greatest companies out there. Although, I mean, they even if I think of it as up here, up here, but that doesn't mean they don't come without some flaws too. You know what I mean? But I think I just think that yeah, when it comes to training, SOPs, knowing where you stand, I think that's one of the better companies that are out there. And I still use those SOPs I learned 30 years ago. I still use them in my own business, which is crazy, but I still do. I still draw from some of the stuff that I learned years ago. So that tells you right there. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, that's it. So thank you so much again, Miss Tiffany English, for coming on. We appreciate you. And maybe we can do it again this week, but I know we're going to see each other sometime in the near future.
Next week we should get back on our secret look. Are you keeping it a secret, or where are you going next week?
I haven't mentioned it yet, if that's what you're asking me.
Okay.
No.
Well, we definitely should do something while we're in the same city. How about that?
Uh, that sounds good. Now, isn't that funny? Now, all of a sudden, I was, it's like pulling teeth trying to get you to come on. Now, all of a sudden, you're
Oh,
suggesting
stop
stuff.
it. Oh, stop it.
Now you're suggesting that you come on. Okay, that's what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
let's do it.
Yeah, well, I'm sure there'll be at least a couple of situations or opportunities for us to collaborate again, which we're doing now. So hopefully this is a regular thing where you can come on and we can talk, and not just here, but on Instagram as well. But of course, I love the platforms YouTube and LinkedIn. But hey, if anybody wants to do a collab, I'm game any platform. So anyway, so all right, that's it. You guys have a great day. Thank you again. Once again, this is daily check-in. I do this Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. On Tuesdays, I do On Air with Russell of Hotels, which is that live hospitality talk show that everyone's talking about. Tomorrow will be show number 289, I believe. Countdown to the show number 300. So there you go. Once again, thank you again, Miss Tiffany. We'll see you shortly, or see you again sometime. I don't know when, but we'll see you sometime this week.
All right, sounds good.
Peace.
Bye.